Are you thinking, I think I might need long-term care? I don't know, and I really don't want to go to a facility. How do I age in place? Today, in this episode, very important, we have Lynn Moore, who's a specialist in this idea of how to do it. You need to listen to the entire episode.
To learn more about how to secure your retirement and all the different elements you need to know, please subscribe to our channel and hit the bell so you'll be notified when we release episodes every Monday. We have helped hundreds of our clients gain clarity and get on the path to a great retirement. Now it's your turn. Let's dive in.
Welcome, everyone, to Secure Your Retirement Podcast. We are excited today. As you know, in our podcasting, we talk a lot about retirement planning. We talk a lot about the financial side of things and taxes and all those good things. But every now and then we do one that's really kind of around lifestyle. And today we have a special guest with us. Her name is Lynn Moore, and she works with an organization that I think is going to be very interesting, where basically we're able to talk about, if we're going to age in place, stay at home, how do we do that? You know that we've had some episodes in the past where we talked about what are called continuous care retirement communities, and she's going to talk about a different approach. And so let me just say this first. Thank you very much for coming on and talking to us, Lynn.
Certainly, I appreciate the opportunity.
All right, we got our first question.
All right, so Lynn, so we know you work at ThriveMore, which is kind of specializes in helping people decide on, how do they age, where do they age, and it's really customized around aging in place. But so could you just give us, a quick little background so people understand who you are? Give us a little background on, where you came from, what was your work life before this, and how you know so much about this industry in general.
Right. Okay, I became a geriatric registered nurse more years than I care to admit to, and I've always been drawn to the geriatric population. So my entire professional career has been in geriatrics. Very quickly after beginning my role as a geriatric registered nurse, I took a leadership role in skilled nursing, which is a nursing home. And I became a director of nursing in a nursing home for 8 years and was very successful and loved that role and felt that I did a great job taking care of people in long-term care facilities. That was followed by a promotion to be an administrator in a long-term care facility. And I did that for 15 years. I was the administrator in a long-term care nursing home, short-term rehab, and assisted living and dementia care, and loved that role as well. And then when it got time for another advance in the career, I moved into what's called senior living, which is continuing care retirement communities. So that's a campus that has not only the health care that I had the background in, but also adds that component of independent living. And so I became an executive director for continuing care retirement communities for several years. I was leading a big campus of a continuing care retirement community during COVID. And we had 250 residents and 250 employees. And we got through COVID very well, pretty much unscathed, but during that time really learned a lot about the ability to bring care into the independent living setting and how much actually easier that was able to be facilitated, especially during COVID, because with all the regulations, everybody remembers it was shut down. You couldn't go visit your people in the long-term care facilities. They couldn't go out to appointments. It was very complicated in that type of setting, but I could actually care for people in the independent living setting much easier and do a better job, quite honestly, I felt. So shortly after that, in 2021, I became a geriatric care manager and was working with people privately in their homes to help them bring in care to their homes and to actually give them that opportunity, which led to my opportunity with ThriveMore at Home, which is the continuing care at home division of ThriveMore, which was previously known as Baptist Retirement Homes of North Carolina.
Excellent. Well, thank you for the background. So it's nice that, one of the things that we kind of got excited about when we learned a little bit about you was that you have both sides. So it's not like you're just looking at one part of the picture, because we have talked a lot and we've helped a lot of our clients plan to go into a CCRC. And so it's a very familiar part of our firm, of what we do. But we do get a lot of questions about, well, what if I don't want to do that? What if that's not really my goal? and I, some people are like, nope, this is what we're going to do. Some people are like, no, I don't know that I want to do that. So could you maybe give us then kind of a picture of what the difference between continuing care in all essence at home versus continuing care in a community where we're going to reside? Could you kind of tell us the difference between those two programs?
They're actually very similar. And I always like to point out that we're not anti CCRC because our company, Thrive-More, owns 4 CCRCs and are building 2 more in the future. So we're not anti-CCRCs. However, we do recognize that there is a large percentage of the older adult population that says, I would prefer to stay in my home. And so this is an additional program in addition to the what we call it brick and mortar CCRC. So we have brick and mortar CCRCs, but for those people that are adamant or really feel strongly, hey, I want to stay in my home. We know that these programs have proven over 40 years that 96.5% of participants are able to stay in their homes for the remainder of their life through support and planning ahead. So this is a program for those people. And the difference is it's in your home as compared to selling your home to get that entrance fee to move into the continuing care community. You retain your home and you maintain your home as part of that CCRC contract, but we're bringing those services into your home as opposed to you selling that home and moving into a community.
Okay, well, good. Well, those services, I know, like, if you think about some of the CCRCs in this area, those services are rather robust. And obviously there's a large entrance fee to it. There's a monthly rent in all essence. So it's you're paying for it, but in some cases, clients talk to us like, hey, this is kind of like a resort in retirement, right? It's got pretty much everything you need. But we do have in those meetings with clients, we do have the person that says, no, I love my house, right? We downsized to this first floor master years ago for this purpose of aging in this house. But they've got the question of, well, how does this all work if we decide to do that? So can you give us an idea of like what the services are that are now brought into the house? Is it just getting the house, set up for it, or what's the ongoing looking like as they need it?
I like to explain the program as you've essentially adopted really good daughters that have a healthcare background. And so we start from the very beginning. We do aging in place assessments of their homes. And as you say, we need a first floor bedroom, or we need at least a plan for a first floor bedroom. We need wide doorways. Both I and my partner go in. We're both certified aging in place specialists. So we'll go into a home and we'll make an assessment and make recommendations. They're not required. The people that join our program initially do not need assistance with care. It is an insurance-based program. So in order to participate initially, you can't need care services. So initially we're doing planning and listening to goals and listening to what our members want in place. And then as time progresses, we are also pulling in care. We've got components similar to long-term care insurance, but geriatric care management as well. And then we also arrange and coordinate home care services. A little different from long-term care insurance is we're going to bring people in sooner rather than later. We do not have a requirement of minimum numbers of activities of daily living that have to be deficit. We just know they need some help and support. I actually was arranging care earlier this morning for a gentleman in the Cary area. So we do that in the beginning. And then as people's needs progress, then we bring more care into the home. But we're arranging, coordinating, navigating, and then also overseeing that care to ensure it is quality care being provided as the person needs more. And it may be short-term, it may be long-term, but we're bringing that care in. And in addition to that, the long-term care insurance component is underwriting the cost of that care.
So real quick on that is then does that mean then that there is true underwriting, medical underwriting to begin, or is this an assessment that you guys do to be able to say whether the person qualifies to be a part of the program?
There is actual medical. We do, in order to participate, they have to do an actual membership, and they have to do both financial and medical. We will review 5 years of medical records to ensure that the applicant meets what we call as healthy. And healthy means that they do not have a diagnosed progressive declining disorder such as Alzheimer's, dementia, ALS, Parkinson's, lupus, things of that nature, because those type of disorders we know tend to lead to extensive periods in long-term care facilities that we're not going to be able to avoid. So I like to help explain that component of the program is if you live in the state of North Carolina and there's a named storm off the coast, you can't buy wind and hail insurance. Similar to this program, if you have a named storm and a health issue, such as Alzheimer's or such as ALS or Parkinson's, we know that there's going to be a long-running care need for that person and they won't qualify for this program. There is an opportunity for spouses of participants to come in what we call care coordination. If your spouse can qualify for the program, then you and a person doesn't medically qualify, they can come in under that care coordination only, where we'll advocate and navigate and make sure that care is being provided at a quality level, but just not have that financial underwriting of that care.
Okay, so, and I know that what I'm about to say here, Lynn, you know already, but I want to remind our listeners, because I'm about to ask about how the comparative nature here of what we're doing. So we know that, and we've done episodes on this, we've helped clients this year move into 2 different facilities here in the Raleigh-Cary area in North Carolina. One of which just depended upon what they wanted in their deal, but it was an upfront of around $500,000. And they're going to be spending around, right now, around $8,500 a month to be there. We got another client who they went in for around $350,000, separate facility. They're going to be spending somewhere around that same mark, right? Around $8,500.
Somewhere around that, maybe
Yeah.
closer to 7.
Yeah. Okay. And then we know there's another facility here in the Raleigh area that is, you don't have to do the upfront, but your monthly is going to be a little bit more, somewhere around I think that we had a client there that's paying around $9,500, something like that. And they are at this point, that person is needing assisted living, meaning to a degree, meaning they get a little bit of help. So I'm just trying to set that tone so the listener has context. All right. And we know there's other areas you can go that might have that cost a little bit lower. So, but give context there. Now, could you kind of lay out kind of the look of what it looks like under this program, just so we've got a little bit of a comparison of what the person might be thinking about?
Right. So the way the program is modeled is the portion of it is an insurance plan in that there are levels of coverage. Part of the component of the amount of the cost to compare it to a brick and mortar CCRC, that's based on an entrance fee, which is very much like a type A or type B CCRC, as opposed to the rental model that you referenced. We're more of a buy-in program with a monthly fee associated with it. That buy-in fee is determined by their age at application, because of course, just as in a CCRC, a type A or type B, people are prepaying for future care needs. That's why that monthly fee can be lower, because they're paying an upfront cost. In our program, same thing, members pay a prepaid membership fee, and it's based on their age, because the actuarial tables are looking at how far out that care start is going to be. And then they have a monthly fee, again, similar to an A and B type community. However, due to the fact that the communities you're referencing, and of course we're aware of all the communities in the area, due to the fact that they have these huge, beautiful, as Murr said, very resort-like properties, you're paying for that brick and mortar. So that's a big component of both your entrance fee and your membership fees, is paying for the brick and mortar. Well, in our program, you already own the brick and mortar, or you're making mortgage payments on the brick and mortar. So we like to have people understand, okay, you need to take the cost of your housing when you're doing a comparison, because you're continuing to pay for your housing. We're bringing the services into you. And so for an average idea, a 75-year-old in one of our programs, we have a 100% program pays $385 a day in health care coverage. And it drops down as far as 50%, which is usually somebody who has long-term care insurance already existing. That covers $192.50 a day. So let's say somebody already had long-term care insurance and they wanted our gold plan, which is $192.50 of coverage today, and they were 75 years old. Round about $50,000 membership fee, that's going to be, and around $500 a month in a monthly fee. So that's very different from a $500,000 buy-in fee at a community and a $5,000 to $8,000 a month monthly fee, because they are maintaining their home. You know, we try not to even encourage people and say, wow, this is a tremendous cost savings and whatnot, because we want to be realistic. They are still maintaining the cost of their home, but they are able to therefore stay in that home.
Yeah, I mean, that sounds very, I don't mean to hog here. I just got to
No,
follow up
go
with this.
ahead.
Okay.
Yeah.
So because you gave that example, would you mind giving the example of a person who doesn't have long-term care, just so we got the comparison there? Because you just did one
Yeah,
with.
that would, and again, we'll look at it, but really, whenever we do a home visit with someone who's interested in the program, we actually have them bring their coverage from their long-term care insurance and do a review of the amount of coverage they have thus far. And then we'll see how much gap there is. And then also, people are different. There are some people that are very risk averse. And then there are some people that are willing to take a risk. And there are also people in different financial states, such as if there's a gap between the amount of insurance coverage they have and what we anticipate would be a worst case scenario, how much of that could they absorb themselves? So that guides us through helping them determine their level of coverage. But even at the highest level of coverage, a 75-year-old, we're talking somewhere around $70,000 for a buy-in and about $700 a month for that top end, $385 a day coverage. So
Okay, I promise.
still a really good
Just in the
pricing
same line of
when you
thought.
compare it to.
All right, last one, and then I'm gonna let Marcia ask a question. But on this
Yeah.
same thought, so does it make sense then under your program? Because in long-term care, true long-term care, hey, if I did this at 55, I'm gonna, I'm getting, I'm paying in longer, but I know I'm healthy, right?
Yeah.
Is there a scenario there where that makes sense under your program?
Yeah, well, you have to be 62 to be in the
Oh,
program.
okay,
So you
good.
can't do it at 55. But once you're 62, obviously for us, we see a couple of things. Number one, it is less expensive. You're talking $30,000 when you're in your 60s. And then because again, you're prepaying, you have more anticipated years of prepaying. But a couple of things can happen. You can have a health crisis that actually occurs early, and plenty of people have things occur in their 60s and 70s. And when that occurs, then you're no longer eligible to participate in the program if you're not in it already. Obviously, if you're one of our members and you have a stroke, or you develop Alzheimer's, or you develop Parkinson's, that's fine, because you're already our member. You're not going to be kicked out of the program when you develop one of those diagnoses. So that's the biggest thing, is that if you wait past, it is less expensive and you're paying ahead by month, which that's one benefit. But the other benefits of coming into the program earlier is, let's say in your 60s, is that we know that people develop medical illnesses in their 60s and 70s that they were not anticipating. People have strokes, people develop Alzheimer's or Parkinson's or whatnot. At that point, they wouldn't be eligible to participate in the program. By becoming a member in their 60s or 70s, they're paying a much lower fee up front, and also while they are eligible for the program. And so to us, it makes sense, the earlier the better, to get in. And then we're also already planning, we're engaged with our members, even that they're not needing care, because we're helping them plan, we're helping them design their homes to age in place. We are their resource. They can call us at any point for questions about aging or health or those type of issues. And so we're very engaged from the beginning, but being earlier and getting in actually saves you money and also helps you be ready in case something unanticipated happens with your health.
Yeah, one last little money question there on, so say someone does get in, you said 62 is the earliest you can get in. So say they get in at 62, they pay their buy-in, then they're paying monthly, and that monthly is associated with a daily dollar amount of care. Is that number like traditional long-term care insurance? Is that being inflated as well as they
Yes.
their 70s and 80s?
Yeah, it's inflation protected in that each year we will do a survey of area skilled nursing facilities, and our 100% coverage is always based on the average skilled nursing facility for the year. So that's 385 for this year. And we know that there are skilled nursing facilities that are higher and lower, but that average number is our 100% coverage.
Okay,
and it'll go up each year, and then to make sure that we're tracking along with skilled nursing. So essentially we're saying we're giving you enough coverage that we're spending the same amount if you were in skilled nursing facility, but we're going to use that to bring that into your home. And we haven't covered it yet, but if at some point somebody wanted to go into an assisted living or skilled nursing facility, we could take that money and apply it. Not only will we help them pay for that facility, but we will also help them choose the facility and help them transition into the facility.
Okay. So one of the attractive things about going into a CCRC, although you give up your house, you've got this larger buy-in. One of the more attractive things is that, there's so many studies out there about staying busy, staying interactive, keeping your brain moving. So CCRCs have all types of social interactions and clubs and all types of things there. Is there any, obviously it's not like you can bring a whole club to the person's house, right? But what do you say to that question of like what type of social engagement are they going to get when it comes time of care?
Yeah, I can tell you based on our experiences meeting people interested in the program and people that are now participating in the program is seniors are very busy. Seniors are healthy and they do have those clubs coming into their homes. I have to call and make sure that I'm not conflicting with the Mahjong group that is meeting at somebody's house or the bridge club or everybody's got. Our older adults today are very different than older adults when I started a couple of decades ago, very actively engaged. Our program does opportunities to get together for our members to get together, and then also opportunities within the community of things that were going on that we can let them know that are available. There are also quite a few programs in the community and through Raleigh Senior Services that we're connected with, that if somebody just wants somebody to come sit and visit and read a book or chat about something, that we can bring those folks into their homes. Again, as from the outset, I always say this is a program for people that want to stay home. And we know there are all kinds of people. There are introverts and extroverts. And when we talk about the 3.6% of people in these programs that will end up going and living in a community instead of staying in the program and staying at home, a lot of times that is the married person in a couple, and it's the number of introvert extrovert marriages are pretty impressive. Right. And that introvert says, I do not want to move into a facility, period. You will not ever get me to move in there. The extrovert is just excited about the thought of being in the community. They will choose to be in this program. And then if that introvert passes away, then that extrovert, we're going to help them transition into a community and get them moved in so that they can be a social butterfly as they are.
You have any more? I'm trying to hog so much earlier. I'm trying to give you opportunity.
Nope. I mean, this has been great so far.
Yeah, so let me ask this. When it comes to, I'm gonna go with the stereotype. The stereotype is that if I had people come to my house, a lot of times we don't know to what degree this person's qualified, what type of person they're going to be. So am I assuming that through Thrive More, are they typically folks that you're contracting or that work for Thrive More, or what's the vetting process there on your side so that from the person who's at home knows that they're getting a good quality, a person at whatever category they need?
Yeah, and I'd say good doesn't come close. We want excellent quality, but we do have partners that we have fully vetted. We have met with the ownership of the providers, the home health providers in the area, and we've talked about their philosophy compared to our philosophy, which is excellent care. I think that's a big opportunity where both I and Jean Klein that works with me, we're both from the CCRC background in long-term care, so we know what good care looks like. That's what I tell people all the time. If you're having good care, I know what that looks like. If that care is not good, I also know what that looks like. We are there to advocate on a daily basis to ensure that the people that we have partnered with and we have already vetted, that we're making sure they're still providing services of an excellent nature. And if they're not, or if there's sometimes just a personality difference between the provider and the person who's being cared for, and we're going to come in and work through that relationship. And it may be that, hey, we just need to get another care provider in, but that's the other benefit of having us, where they're advocating, making sure you've got the level of care we expect, the level of care you expect, and making sure that's happening on a daily basis.
Well, Lynn, I think this is great. Thanks again for hopping in with us to introduce this concept. I think we could go for hours on this concept on level of care. How do you fix up the house? What recommendations do you guys make? But, for someone that's listening right now and they say, "Hey, I've been thinking about this. I just don't know how to do it." What is the best way for them to learn more about it, learn more about Thrive More, or maybe even start the process of exploring it with you?
Yeah. We have a website, which is thrivemorenc.org. And also keep an eye out. We do presentations in the Raleigh and surrounding areas. We have a presentation coming up May 15th in Cary at the Courtyard Marriott Parkside. And so usually we'll send out mailers to older adults to let them know we're doing presentations, but we're happy to meet with people one-on-one at any time. And you set that up by going on that website, www.thrivemorenc.org. And then as soon as you send contact information, we reach out to you and start having a conversation to see if it really does sound like a program you might be interested in participating in.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much again. We'll make sure that everybody has that contact information. And this has been very, very insightful to us, and we certainly do appreciate it. So thank you for coming on and chatting with us.
Certainly. I appreciate the opportunity. It's been something that I have been excited to learn about, and really passionate about the program because I see it meets a need that I honestly wasn't aware of a couple of years ago that these programs existed. And to find out that there is such a program for people that just want to stay in their homes and that we can both do it and do a really good job at it is really exciting for me.
Excellent.
We hope this video has given you some confidence and clarity as you plan for a worry-free life in retirement. But what else do you need? We have created a complimentary video course called 3 Keys to Secure Your Retirement. This video walks you through step by step what you need to do to get ready for retirement. You can also check out our podcast called Secure Your Retirement. You can subscribe below.
For more retirement tips, check out these videos. Also, if you find them valuable, please subscribe to our YouTube channel and give us a like.